So in our second part, I would like to ask you, Fabiana, who inspired you as a teacher?
I think Cecilia would agree with me that if you decide to become a teacher, you have you have probably had very good experiences as a learner, and
Indeed.
teachers that have inspired you to pursue their careers. So I think, well, there are so many teachers who have inspired me, but I'll talk about two. The first one was my literature high school teacher, my literature teacher in high school, Vera Lucia. She might be watching, so thanks so much for having inspired me. She would talk to me about becoming a teacher, and she would sometimes turn to me and say, I think you'll become a teacher someday. And she was right. So that's yeah, she has really inspired. And she was an amazing teacher, and she would really bring literature to life in class. So that was it was a real pleasure to have been her student. And of course, I cannot answer this question without talking about my master's supervisor, Professor Sonia Zinger. And
She was also our undergrad professor, right?
she was, yes,
Yeah.
in English language, I think the third module.
Third or the
She was
second, I don't remember
the
exactly.
second,
Yeah,
yes. It
I loved
wasn't
her
a long
lessons.
time ago. We're not going to say,
That's not
but yes,
important. Yeah.
we're not quite sure. Well,
Uh-huh.
anyway, yes. So, well, yes. So I think if I become 10% of who she is, I'll be happy for the rest of my life. And I remember, well, she was an amazing supervisor, but I think more than that, she would really take up the role as a teacher, as an educator. And for example, when I was nervous about speaking in public or presenting my research at a conference, she'd ask me, "Why are you nervous? People are not there, Fabiana, because of you. They're there because of your research. So you have to respect all the work that I have put,
That's
that I have
fantastic.
done,
Great
and
advice.
present
Yeah.
it just there." And I sometimes say that to my own students when they are a bit terrified of speaking in public, speaking English. To home students, for example, say, "Don't worry too much about yourself. People want to know what you want to tell them. So if you take the attention from you and concentrate on what you're going to tell them, how important that message is, then it becomes easier." So yeah, so they have definitely inspired me.
That's great. That's great. And well, as a researcher and as a professor, you might have read lots of books, right?
I wish
Quite a few.
I wish I did. I wish I did. But anyway, let's move on.
So, what are your favorite teaching books? EAP or ELT books? What are your favorite
Yeah.
ones? Which ones would you recommend for both experienced and inexperienced teachers?
Yes, so as I am an EAP teacher, most of the books that I am reading or that I use are for EAP. So perhaps if one of your subscribers is interested in starting a career in EAP, those perhaps my recommendations will be useful. So the first one is EAP Essentials.
Mm-hmm.
So
Written by?
uh, written by Owen Alexander and Sue Argent and Jennifer Spencer.
Is it the Bible
Um,
of EAP?
it is. It's well, I could say that, yes. I took a course. I participated in an online course last year with Nile, and and this book was on the reading list, and I decided to buy it because I thought, yes, I think it will be useful. I hadn't had a lot of experience teaching EAP before that, and the course was useful as well. We'll talk a little bit more about it later. But the book, I still use it, and it comes with a CD-ROM with class plans and activities. So definitely, if you want to start, if you want to know more about EAP and perhaps consider that,
with this book.
You have to start by the Green Book, yes.
Right.
And then coming from a tradition of teaching English in a communicative approach, we would tend to use a lot of videos and media in class and games and debates and all that. And once I started teaching EAP, I could see the difference, and I from a teacher's perspective, I thought the classes were a bit uninteresting and a bit dry. I couldn't really balance the communicative approach and the skills that I need to teach my students. So this book here has really helped me. It's written by Jenny Hughes.
Can you just read the title again?
Yes, sorry. Communicative Activities for EAP.
For EAP, okay.
Yeah. But I think it would work. The activities would work in any ELT context because they are really creative and interesting, and they encourage critical thinking and all that. So, and not only for speaking, because you would look at communicative thing, but it's also for reading and writing. So it's an integrated resource book. Yeah, so that's that. And for textbooks for students, I really like this series, Access EAP. Again, by Sue Argent and Owen Alexander. And there are two books, EAP Foundations for lower intermediate students and EAP Frameworks for upper intermediate students.
So these are actually for the students, for students' use,
yes,
right?
Yes, it's students' books, and there are also the teachers' guide. Teacher's book.
All right.
So yes, what I like about this series is the fact that the authors try to implement, to apply the latest theories of English learning and teaching in the book. So, for example, there is a lesson on EAP frameworks on how to use corpus linguistics to help students to use the corpora to learn more about collocations, about use of prepositions. And one might think that, well, I don't think students would be interested in that. They love it. They love it because it involves technology.
Yeah, so interesting.
I have had so many students coming to talk to me after the end of the class to say, this has been so useful. Thanks so much. So yes, and it's not every day that you get such a nice reaction. So really recommend those books.
Fantastic. Thank you. And
thank you.
All right. And what would you say to your younger teacher self? So you've been teaching for quite a while now.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you go back in time, what would you say to that Fabiana, that shy teacher?
Well, first of all, I would say don't worry too much. Don't worry about showing your weaknesses, which are not weaknesses, but so we know now, and we knew back then, right, through our teacher's training course, that we don't see teachers as the main source of knowledge. We don't see teachers as that anymore, and we tend to have a student-centered approach. So that's fine, but I think it's a challenge for teachers, and even more for inexperienced teachers. So thinking about myself when I started teaching, not to believe in that. So I would be quite hard on myself if I realized I had given students incorrect information
Mm-hmm.
or if I had mispronounced words or something like that. But now I tend to be a little bit more relaxed, and I try to think of the class as one stage of the student's learning
It
process. But
doesn't
learning
end
doesn't
there, right?
it doesn't.
It
It doesn't.
doesn't. Mm-hmm.
So there's always an opportunity for revisiting that particular content, and the students can learn by themselves as well, and they can teach others once they come to class and they find out that that wasn't particularly correct or accurate, and students can contribute. So yes, I try not to overthink when those things happen, but I would back then. I would be a little bit too hard on myself. But now I tend to be, with age comes a little bit more confidence. So
Uh-huh.
that's good. Wrinkles and confidence, that's fine.
No wrinkles, no wrinkles, not just yet. So just yeah, another question has to do with it. So what tips would you
Yeah.
give to and specifically to a non-native English teacher, just like
Yeah.
ourselves, right? Who would like to work as a teacher or as a professor in the UK? Yeah. So what tips in terms of professional development would you give them?
Yeah. So, okay, I'm just trying to think of, so especially if the teacher wants to work at a higher education institution,
Mm-hmm.
such as Inter, for example. So I think they have to make the most of the postgraduate course that they are while they are at it. So, of course, achieving good marks is part of it, so that you get a good degree classification. But while you are doing your postgraduate course, your master's, you should also take the opportunity to organize academic events, attend conferences, present papers, because it's very important to build an academic portfolio, especially if you're applying for a job at a research intensive university in the
Mm-hmm.
UK, part of the Russell Group. It would be quite useful if you have a proven if you can show evidence that you are engaged academically with the topic your topic of research.
Do you think that
So
would make the teachers stand out from the
yes,
crowd?
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
definitely, because
Great tip.
it would show that you are not only taking the opportunity to develop yourself as a teacher, as a professional, but you aim at getting a research position, and teaching English for a specific and for academic contexts is very much related to that. We not only teach students how to develop their English, but also how to develop research skills,
Skills, yeah. Mm-hmm.
to use references. So showing that you are engaged in this academic world will definitely help, and that would be considered evidence. I would also recommend teacher training courses at NILE. So
Mm-hmm.
NILE is an acronym, stands for Norwich Institute for Language Education.
Mm-hmm.
They are well known and highly valued, not only in the UK, abroad, all over the world. As I said to you, I took a course on Introduction to EAP,
Mm-hmm.
teaching
There.
English is
Mm-hmm.
highly useful. But this summer, I want to take the course. I want to enroll in their course from teacher to trainer, which I think is the first step if you want to become a teacher trainer in the UK, which is quite interesting as well.
That's
If you
great.
are an
Mm-hmm.
experienced teacher. So, and then that gives you more autonomy as well as regards what areas, what fields you would like to specialize on. So I think that's going to be one of my professional goals, and I would recommend then these courses as something that you would like to consider for the future if you want to apply for a job in the UK.
Okay, great. All right, Fabi, thank you so much. It was so
No problem.
interesting, so informative as well.
Well, I hope if I can, if someone has any questions, they can contact me, send me an email. You can
I'll
leave
leave
my
your
contact.
contact.
Yes, yeah,
That's
and
great.
just drop me an email, and I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you so much, Fabi. And I wish you all the best in the future.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And I speak soon.
Yes, thank you
Okay.
so much, Cecilia. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye bye.
Bye. Bye.